there's a large movement within protest movement of defunding police. Republicans are focusing on that as saying that, that Democrats want to do away with police departments, which I don't think is what defund police means. But when you hear that slogan, what do you think?
Well, when I first heard it, I was troubled by it. I thought, okay, this is going to be weaponized in this political year. I completely thought that was happening. That's exactly what's happened. It's been weaponized. But I did some research, and what I would challenge people to do is to do research on find out what it means. Now, you got to understand this. I'm not for taking money for the police department. I think we need more police. My studio is in a neighborhood where I think we need police, but we don't need a police that have or that are undertrained. And you got to understand, I have really close friends who are police officers that I love dearly, who are really good people, who have been very, very hurt by this as well. And here's what I want you to understand, Anderson. Where there's wrong, I'm going to stand up against it. When Rayshard Brooks was murdered, I thought that was wrong. When George Floyd was murdered, I thought that was wrong, like so many other people. But when a police officer who was white in a suburb in Atlanta was shot in the head by a shoplifter, I thought that was wrong too, and I reached out to do what I can to help his family. When Sequoia was 8-year-old was shot near the Wendy's in her mother's back seat, I thought that was wrong too. So anywhere there's wrong, I'm going to stand up against it. I just don't believe that, and I believe that I don't believe that there are lots of people. Let me just change that to understand that there are a lot of people in America who feel the way that I do, right? I think we need the police. I know that I need the police. I have several that work for me here at the studio. We need them, but we need them reformed. We need them trained well. We need the right structure, right? But some of the things inside of defund the police, I really understand, like having officers who are clinically trained to deal with certain situations. I think all of those things are helpful. But taking money from the police department to make the police department smaller, that troubles me.
I want to end on just mentioning John Lewis, Congressman Lewis, and also C.T. Vivian, two extraordinary leaders who we've recently lost. There's a story I read, and if you could just quickly tell it, of a connection you had to John Lewis, which is a house you owned was once owned by a racist segregationist business person, I think it was, and John Lewis told you a story that when he learned who owned that house, of his connection to that person.
Yeah, we were having a gospel brunch. We've got all these black people, Oprah, all of us there, and we had this beautiful gospel brunch, and John Lewis was there, and I started telling the story about this former segregationist who owned a hotel in Atlanta called the Heart of Atlanta Hotel, who also owned the property that I had just bought. And when I bought the property, he had lost it in a malpractice suit, but he started suing me over and over again. And I remember walking into court and him seeing me for the first time, watching the blood drain from his face, realizing that I was a black man. So eventually I had him disbarred. I think he died a few years ago. But I had him disbarred because he kept suing. We fought and fought and fought because he had no rights for any of that because I bought the property.